Haribo, everybody. Nice to have you with us for another evening of Bhagavad Gita class and Kirtan. And we're very glad to have you with us. Sit back and relax and join in if you like. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajika Satar Sarishishima Jagatguru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajika Satar Sarishishima His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur's World Mission Ki Jai. Navadvita Dhamma Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Ama Gina Timarandasya Gina Gina Salakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swa Parante Kam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavenbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Niti Namine. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Namine. Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate. Before speaking, first offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagatguru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, Gaura Karuna Swarupaya, very dear to Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna Prastayate. I bow, namaste, and offer my respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. We're like wish-fulfilling trees, able to fulfill all the desires of the fallen living entities, and are full of compassion upon them. Ribo. And offer my respectful obeisances to Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the beautiful song or hymn of Sri Bhagavan, Krishna, who's full of all opulences. So, please forgive me, I've got an issue with my voice that I'm trying to resolve or taking medication for. But it seems like it's going to be a long process before it gets better. Also, I might just share tonight is, or today was, or is Radhisham's birthday. So we've been studying Bhagavad Gita, and we're in chapter 2, the chapter where Krishna first, actually more or less, first speaks. He says a half verse in chapter 1 where he says, "See all the Kurus assembled here," and then he doesn't really say anything. Arjuna does most of the talking in chapter 1. Dhritarashtra has one verse, and then Sanjaya begins to narrate the scene upon the battlefield, and Duryodhana has a couple of lines, and then Arjuna asks Krishna to take him out in the middle of the battlefield, the Madhya, and then Krishna says, "O Partha, see all the Kurus assembled here," and then Arjuna then goes into his great nervous breakdown or traumatic experience, or his great can't even sort of think of the right words to describe it, but where he expresses his concerns and fears and his utter devastation. He's basically devastated at having to engage in this war, to fulfill his duty as a warrior, and fulfill his dharma or his swadharma, his own duty as a warrior, with obligations and responsibilities towards his brothers and his wife, to all the soldiers on his side, to Krishna, and to all the assembled soldiers on the battlefield. And Arjuna somehow or other begins, particularly in verse 36 of chapter 1, begins to express that he thinks it's going to be sinful to engage in this war. And anyway, he says that, and then he elaborates upon all the different reasons why he thinks it's sinful or could be considered sinful, and how there's going to be so many negative impacts upon society if he engages in this fight. So anyway, then of course in chapter 2, Krishna initially chastises Arjuna, tries to sort of wake him up to his responsibilities. And then Arjuna, goes through a few more verses, and then he gets to the point where he, surrenders to Krishna. He's become so despondent, and he was so despondent before Krishna spoke. Then Krishna spoke in such a way that was very cutting or heavy. Krishna fulfilled the role of guru or spiritual teacher, and was heavy laden. This sort of shook Arjuna up. Then Arjuna came to the point where he surrendered to Krishna and asked Krishna to please instruct me. Sharimam tvam prapanam. please instruct me. Sishyaste aham sharimam. Now I am a sishya, or a disciple, surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. And Arjuna has a couple more verses, and then Krishna begins to, kind of his first words are to again chastise Arjuna that wise people, pandits, don't lament for the living or the dead. While you're speaking learned words, Arjuna, actually you're really just, full of it. Wise men, the pandits, don't lament for the living or the dead. So while Arjuna is busy quoting the disciplic succession and the different Dharma and Artha Shastras, Krishna then just tells him, well, the wise men, the pandits, they don't lament for either the living or the dead. So you're speaking all these learned words, Arjuna, but actually you're completely off track. And then Krishna, goes to the big picture, describes to Arjuna how he's not the body, that not only is he not the body, but no one is the body. Rather, we are the dehe occupying the dehi. So we're the occupier of the dehi, the material body. And that although this body dies, the owner or possessor of the body does not die. Just as we go through boyhood and youth to old age, and at the time of death, we then go to another body. That we're eternally individual. That we've never come into being, don't come into being, will not come into being. That we're imperishable, invisible, inconceivable, so many different words that Krishna used to describe the soul. So after sort of giving Arjuna this sort of spiritual grounding of understanding that he's not the body, then Krishna went into a sequence of verses which we've been studying for the last several weeks or months, where Krishna then becomes on a very sort of practical level, kind of, and a more or less in a sense, a materialistic level, explaining to Arjuna how this is, for him to fight is actually the best thing. As a Kshatriya, engaging in warfare like this opens the doors, Swagadaram, opens the doors to the heavenly planets. And, and then very sort of practically dealt with Arjuna's psychology about how much Arjuna won't like it if people speak ill of him. That they'll call him a coward. They'll vilify him for not fighting, for leaving the battlefield. And they'll, it will just be a very upsetting and traumatic experience for Arjuna. All the generals who've previously highly esteemed him will consider him to be Lagavan, or lightweight. So anyway, so Krishna kind of lays it out for Arjuna on a very sort of practical level. And then in the verse we studied last week, 237, Krishna said, O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore get up with determination and fight. So this was kind of a summary. So it's basically talking for, pointing out to Arjuna, that either way is going to be materially better off. Arjuna, you're going to either be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you're going to conquer the enemy and enjoy the earthly kingdom. So either way, it's going to work out good. And as the commentators on Bhagavad Gita pointed out, as we discussed last week, that even if he's conquers the other side and then enjoys the earthly kingdom, in addition to that, he'll go to heaven at the end of that anyway. So no matter what, Arjuna's better off for fighting. And Krishna's kind of resoundingly defeated this idea that Arjuna will incur sin or papam, future pain, for not for fighting. That if he fights, as Arjuna said in text 36 in chapter 1, that sin will overcome us. Papameva shraya dashman. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore it's not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. So Arjuna was saying that, it's sinful to do this. Of course, this word papa, sin, it's a very sort of, as Bhagavad Gita was translated into English, into foreign languages, very much, of course, it's influenced by, Western religious concepts. And so in Western religion, of course, there's there's this idea of sin. So in Hinduism, for want of a better word to describe the plethora of different but similar religious beliefs and philosophies south of the Indus River, or the Sindhu River. So anyway, this word papam gets translated as sin, but really what this word papam implies, or papa, it means future pain. So if you engage in this activity that goes against the Dharma Shastras or the Vedas and so on, then in the future you will experience pain. So it's a kind of a little bit different way of looking at things. So, in Western religion, the idea is sin, and you're such a sinful, bad person. Whereas from the Vedic perspective, it's not so much, oh, you're such a bad person. It's just more that you will suffer future pain as a result of engaging in these activities. So anyway, Arjuna is, essentially saying, well, future pain is going to overcome me if I engage in this activity. If I engage in these activities of killing all everyone on the opposing side, then I'm going to have to suffer for it in the future, big time. Right? So Krishna, of course, already had addressed this idea where he said, if, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, and again this word dharma is translated as religion, but it doesn't really capture the meaning of the word dharma. Of course, there's the Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami. He's given examples like the dharma of water is that it's wet. The dharma of a warrior is to fight. It's the very nature of a warrior. But of course, Sanatana Dharma, our eternal Dharma, is to render service. And this serving tendency is properly directed towards Krishna, and then it will be perfected and fulfilled. But in this material dimension, this serving attitude or serving this Dharma or Sanatana Dharma of serving becomes manifested in serving our senses our physical senses, which of course are separate from ourself, and serving the senses of our family members, our wife, our children, our family, our parents and uncles and aunties and cousins and so on, and all the, and then our society, our community, our workplace, our workmates, our friends, our community, our society, our country, or our state, our country, perhaps even extending to all of humans. Perhaps even we begin to expand it a little further, and perhaps feel concern for animals and so on. So anyway, we and serve them in some way. So we have this serving tendency, and this is actually our dharma. And so it's not dharma or and swadharma is one's own dharma. One's own dharma. Each of us has our own particular dharma according to our nature and our situation that we're in, our stage of life, and our particular tendencies. And essentially we can't go against this nature, this swadharma. Krishna even says in chapter 3, what will repression accomplish, Arjuna? It's like, or even in chapter 18, Krishna says to Arjuna at the end of Bhagavad Gita, regardless of if you walk away from here now, by your very nature you'll be engaged in fighting. Like if Arjuna sort of chickened out and left the battlefield, well, he'd go somewhere and there'd be some injustice taking place. He would see something bad and he would naturally just step in and get involved because it's his nature. He can't deny his nature. And so as Krishna says in this text 33, if however you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties. So neglecting his swadharma. So swadharma, an important Vedic concept. So anyway, the verse we're up to is text 38, and this is a little bit of a transitional verse. Now where, in this, so we've had Krishna establish things from the point of view of what Krishna says in text 39 as Sankhya, that I've described. So far we've been speaking about things in terms of Sankhya. Ishate abhita Sankhya. So to this point, Arjuna, we've been talking about Sankhya. Sankhya means to analyze, and it's primarily, as Lord Kapila is the proponent of Sankhya philosophy in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and his discussion with his mother Devahuti, several of the chapters outline the process of Sankhya, the analysis of the material world into the different 24 elements, and the 25th element being the soul, elements in the sense of the senses, and so on. So anyway, so what Krishna is referring to when he says he's been discussing this in terms of Sankhya is that he's been making the distinction of the analysis of the difference of the soul and matter. And but just in this series of verses from 31 to 37, Krishna's, he's not really been talking about Sankhya at all in these particular verses. He's just been talking very much about, why it's good for Arjuna to engage in this fight. Just from a material perspective, Arjuna, you're not going to experience future pain from engaging in this warfare. You will actually either go to heaven or you'll get to enjoy the kingdom. So, of course, Bhagavad Gita is not about working out what's best for us materially, right? Bhagavad Gita is not a book or a conversation that's about how to figure out how to get to heaven or how to get to enjoy earthly kingdoms. Far from it, right? So it's actually really only in this short sequence of verses where such ideas are discussed in such an active way, where it's actually like, basically laying it out for Arjuna. This, if you do these things, you'll get to go to heaven, and you'll get to enjoy an earthly kingdom. This is the last point where Krishna speaks in such a way. So after text 38, and I haven't read it yet, but text 38 is very much a transition verse that moves us from this sort of idea of considering what's best for me materially. Will I get to go to heaven? Will I get to enjoy an earthly kingdom? Will I maintain my reputation? Will I avoid having people speak ill of me? Will I make sure that my relatives don't think I'm a lightweight, and so on. So Bhagavad Gita after this point moves on to a very sort of elaborate discussion of karma yoga, and really from this point in Bhagavad Gita through to the end of the 6th chapter is very much a discussion of different kinds of karma yoga, the yoga of action. And this includes, in a sense, the Astanga yoga, the yoga of of meditating, sitting on a deer skin and so on, because it's kind of a physical action of the body. So the yoga of action. So the greater acharyas have analyzed Bhagavad Gita as being, the first 6 chapters are primarily about karma yoga. The last 6 chapters are about jnana yoga, knowledge yoga. And the middle 6 chapters are bhakti yoga. This is essentially the way Ramanuja Acharya first analyzed Bhagavad Gita. I think he was first, but anyway, certainly it was much the way he analyzed Bhagavad Gita. And and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has nicely made the point that bhakti is in the middle, and so the bhakti is influencing the karma yoga section of Bhagavad Gita and the jnana yoga section of Bhagavad Gita. And of course, from a devotee's perspective, and as I was mentioning last week, very much the way Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, throughout his commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, he makes it very clear that even these discussions of karma yoga or jnana yoga, they're all infused with bhakti. The whole point of it all is bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is the highest yoga. Developing love for Krishna, for doing what Krishna wants, surrendering to Krishna. And Krishna will protect us. Savadaman Puriti Aja Mamekam Saranam Braja. So just abandon all varieties of Dhamma and just surrender unto me. This is Krishna's ultimate instruction. So this surrender, of course, it's surrender in love. This is chapter 18, text 66. This is surrender in love to me, Arjuna. Just surrender to me. Don't worry about whether you're going to go to heaven or hell or experience future suffering or not. So, aham tvam sava papebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. So, aham tvam sava papebhyo. Don't worry, Arjuna. I'll protect you from from sin or future pain. You don't need to worry about it. I will protect you. So this is, this is the ultimate answer to Arjuna's concern about papa or future pain or sinfulness. So, so this text 38 then is a transition from, this short sort of sequence of verses where Krishna is, addressing things from a very sort of practical, material point of view about what's going to be materially best for Arjuna in terms of going to the heavenly planets or of enjoying life in this planet, in this lifetime. And so text 38. So transition from that to Karma Yoga, which is really the, Krishna calls it different things throughout these 6 chapters, but it's essentially Karma Yoga. So anyway, then Krishna says, Sukha dukkha same kritva, labha labha jaya jaya, tato yudaya yujasva, naivam papa mavapshase. Sukha dukkha same kritva, labha labha jaya jaya, tato yudaya yujasva, naivam papa papmavapyase. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. So this papa. So, do thou fight for the sake of fighting. Tato yudaya yujasva. Without considering happiness or distress, sukha dukkha, loss or gain, labha labha, victory or defeat, jaya jaya. And by so doing, you shall never incur sin. Naivam papa mavapshase. So here, in this sort of previous sequence of verses, Krishna has been talking about, well, Arjuna, you should engage in this fighting because, hey, the doors of heaven will be thrown open to you, and either you'll conquer the earthly kingdoms and earthly kingdom, and therefore you'll get to enjoy yourself as a king, living a very comfortable life in nice palaces, and so on. And but now Krishna's introducing further and elaborating upon the idea of just here, do the fight for the sake of fighting. In other words, fulfill your duty. This is all in the context of Arjuna being a warrior, and that's it's his swadharma, to be a warrior, to fight, to protect. Kashat means to protect. So this is the duty and function of a warrior. And Krishna now is telling him, look, Arjuna, just fight. Don't worry about whether you win or lose. Don't worry about happiness or distress. And the happiness and distress comes from either winning or losing. And loss or gain. And so the words samakritva means same in equanimity, being equal in happiness and distress. And this is such an important idea, and of course this is not the first time that Krishna has raised this idea of equanimity, of being equal in happiness and distress. Krishna raised it in text 14. So Krishna first begins his discussion about not being the body, and so on in text 11. And then already by text 14, Krishna is speaking about matra spasas tu kanteya sitoshna sukha dukkha, so the happiness and distress, daha. Where Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't be disturbed by the experiences of the senses. Be equal in happiness and distress, just as as you have to tolerate titikshashva, the summer and winter seasons. You have to, now Krishna is again telling Arjuna, just be equal, samakritva, be equal in happiness and distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. Be equal, be in equanimity. And in fact, in chapter 2, text 48, which is like 10 verses away, Krishna then further describes this as perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. All, so like, what kind of condition of life are we really in, right? Like this whole Western society, it's all about attaining success. And if you don't attain success, it's just like, it's like, we in America here we've have to be careful what I say here. With it, America is very divided. Those who support the former President Trump and those who don't, and it's split households down the middle. And my particular household has also been quite split by this issue. But anyway, we've had a former president who couldn't accept defeat, and and there's all these sort of books and discussion and nieces and so on who say that what in his upbringing that President Trump was taught that the worst thing was to be a loser. And it's sort of political commentators in their analysis of President Trump's or former President Trump's Twitter account, it was like his ultimate insult was to call someone a loser. Right? He's a loser, So it's like, and we can sort of imagine that if we're considered a loser, like if someone said to me, "Hey, Bhagavad, you're just a loser, man. You're just a loser," I'd be really upset. No, I don't want to be a loser. No, I'm not a loser. In fact, when I work on some different projects around the world, and I kind of go places and have meetings, and I sort of tell people, well, failure is not an option. Failure is not an option, man. We have to succeed, if we're working on a project, and of course that's a little different. Of course, working on our spiritual master's project, failure is not an option. We have to succeed. We're driven to please our spiritual master. So, but and anyway, like, if someone says you're a loser, it's like, oh my God, that's terrible. We'll feel very distressed by that. So like if we win, like if you win something, then you're all elated. I remember as a kid, I used to play rugby union, rugby football, and if I I still remember, I even think of it sometimes. I used to be like, they have teams. I had the 13. Like this was the under 13s, A's, B's, C's, D's, E's, and F's. I think it went down to F's, and I used to be in the B's. And anyway, for some reason or other, I got demoted. I don't quite remember why. But anyway, I was in the C's. And when I was in the C team, because I really should have been in the B team, I was kind of like, the best player, or one of the best players on this team. And so I used to get to score lots of tries. Tries are, if you don't know what a try is, they're called tries because they used to be worth 3 points. They changed the rules and they made them worth 4 points, but they still call them tries, which is kind of amusing, which I only ever just sort of realized just now. But anyway, I remember, this one particular game, I scored this really good try. I got to run like, almost 3/4 of the field with no one anywhere near me. It was quite an embarrassment for the other side. And so, you run and you put the ball down, and it's like, wow, we won. We're so happy we won, and I'm so happy I scored a try, and I'm so famous, and everyone thinks I'm cool, and whatever. And of course, I still have this terrible arrogance like this and desire for fame, this great anatha, as we were discussing in the Healing Chant 108 classes on anathas and or unwanted things in the heart, and in Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's Srimana Shiksha, Instructions to the Mind, he discussed with such clarity about how this desire for fame is just such a terrible anatha. It's ultimately what's why we're in this material world, and keeping us in this material world is this desire for fame and respect and glorification. And so of course, I'm certainly full of this anatha. But anyway, so the point I'm making is that this idea Krishna is talking about, be equal in happiness and distress, be equal in victory, in winning or losing, right? Jaya jaya, like we think of it as, we're thinking about it in the context of victory on the battlefield, but I mean we can apply it to our own situations and think about it as victory or defeat in our own activities. Like, did I get the job? I would go for the job interview. Did I get it or not? Like, I remember when I different times in my life I've had to look for a job. I've been very fortunate the last 30 years I've had one job. I've had sort of several jobs and roles throughout it, but worked for one company and basically been in the same position in that particular company for the last 30 years. But I remember when I used to have to look for jobs when I was a young man. There's nothing more depressing than applying for jobs. You send off your resume, then either you don't hear back at all, or maybe you get to go for an interview but you don't get the job, and it's heartbreaking, it's soul destroying, and so. But Krishna is saying, be equal, sama kritva, and even in this text 48, Krishna says being equal in success or failure is the art of yoga. So yoga actually means to be equal or have equanimity in either success or failure. And it's like, wow, what a concept is that? In fact, I found myself, as I was preparing for this class today, or rereading my notes and the commentaries of the acharyas, I was actually thinking to myself, now what's so good about this? Why is it important to be equal in success or failure, happiness or distress? Like, because it's such a foreign concept for us. Of course we want to succeed. And of course I'm happy when I succeed. And I'm unhappy when I don't succeed. So, you could, you could imagine Arjuna perhaps speaking like this. Of course he wants to win. Everybody wants to be a winner. Nobody wants to be a loser. Loser. No, I don't want to be a loser. I want to be a winner. And but here Krishna is telling us, be equal in happiness or distress. Be equal in loss or gain. And just do your duty. Do your duty equipoised. And so I was contemplating this idea, and I was sort of feeling this morning. I've been going through a number of sort of stressful experiences, as all of us do, our struggle for existence in this material world, where it always feels like a huge fight just to get through the day. So I'd been applying for a bank account. It'd been so difficult, and then no, they weren't going to give it to us, and then yes, they would, but then they wouldn't give me the password, and it's like this, like everything's just like this constant struggle, a fight, and and then I've got AirPods, when I go for my morning walk, I listen to, Prabhupada chanting japa, and you have the AirPods, and I was like, you always had for years just the corded thing, right? And then finally Radhi Sham, we were at Costco, and she says, should we get AirPods? So I'm like, no, I don't really need them, but okay, we'll get them. So anyway, so we get the AirPods, and when I first used them, I was like, wow, these are like liberating. It's like liberation to not have this stupid cable getting in the way all over the place. My hands getting caught in it, and anyway, all this sort of stuff. So anyway, but then the AirPods, they have this trouble sometimes where they don't connect properly, and you only get one ear. Like in my case, the right one tends to work and the left one doesn't work. And then you've got to reconnect them. You've got to go through the Bluetooth settings and disconnect it, and then you've got to try and connect it, and then it wouldn't do it, and I'm like wasting half an hour. This is like first thing in the morning. The obvious thing you don't want to do first thing in the morning, waste a whole bunch of time trying to deal with your stupid phone and your stupid AirPods. Anyway, and then I start looking up in in the support groups for Apple, and there's all these people who've got these problems. Just like we've had the problems with our microphone, there's all these people having problems with the AirPods not connecting, all got the same problem, that they won't connect. And anyway, I was just sort of feeling like, it's too hard to go on, there's just too many problems in life, And then I kind of like got what Krishna is saying here. He's saying, regardless of, just be equal, be in equanimity, regardless of whether it's difficult or whether it's easy, or whether you're experiencing happiness or experiencing distress, whether you're winning or you're losing, just do your duty. This is what Krishna says to Arjuna, that performing your duty, you shall never incur sin. So just do the fighting. So do thou fight, or do your fight. Fight for the sake of fighting. In other words, it's your duty, Arjuna. Perform your duty. fight. And don't be attached to the result. And so this non-attachment to the result, to not care whether you have happiness or distress, whether you win or lose, whether you suffer victory or defeat, this then performing one's duty, living one's life with this sense of equanimity, this detachment, then one does not incur sin. And actually, this is the karma yoga process, that having this attitude then elevates us and gives us spiritual knowledge. And so anyway, there's a lot of comments here from the commentators which further expand upon and expound upon and properly explain these ideas that I'm not really doing a very good job of explaining. And we'll cover some of those next week. So I guess we'll probably have another bit of a discussion about this particular verse. So anyway, hopefully some of these things I've been talking about tonight may help you appreciate the importance of equanimity and what Krishna is actually saying. And in fact, I spoke when I spoke on chapter 2, text 14 and text 15, where Krishna actually says that someone who's detached like this and equal in happiness and distress is actually eligible for liberation. And in that particular class, I referred to all the different verses, and I think I even counted up the number. Something like 13 or 14, it might have even been more, where Krishna speaks about this being equal in happiness and distress. And so this is such an important idea that Krishna is conveying, and such an important thing for us to understand, to develop this detachment. In other words, we're doing our duty because it's our duty. And Krishna says that one who performs their duty, never experiences sin or papam. So actually in chapter 18, text 47, I think it is, Krishna says, duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Swabhava niyatam kama kurva napnoti kilbisan. So this is how important it is, just performing your duty. If you do your duty, then you do not incur sin. So anyway, so we'll talk more about this over the coming weeks and months as we discuss all these different concepts of karma yoga and detachment, working in a detached way without attachment to the fruits. So anyway, thank you very much. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,